Good afternoon, everybody. All right, we welcome everybody to week 2 of the UFL season. The Columbus Aviators getting ready for their historic first ever home game in franchise history this Friday night. That game will be on Fox as they take on the defending UFL champions DC Defenders. A couple quick notes before we let Coach open things up. Freddie Tompkins, 10 tackles, tied for the league lead coming out of week 1. The Aviators 120 total yards on offense, tied for second in the UFL, and the 5.5 rushing average, number 1 across the league. So, Coach, your initial impressions coming out of week 1 after you've had a chance to look at some review and some film and digest it all.
Well, we came out and we had the fumble earlier and we overcame that. But all in all, when you look down at it, it was a couple plays away from winning that ball game and a couple plays away from actually, having a bigger deficit than we see. But just coming in, putting it back together, getting ready for week 2, playing against another great team, DC Defenders. They were just the champions last year, and just doing the little things to make sure that the picture is right.
All right, let's get to the questions. And Gene, go ahead and kick it off for us, sir.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. As we look up and down the stat line, you guys were really progressive in a lot of areas. I mean, you did some good things offensively. You did some good things defensively. You had 4 sacks. You had special teams. You got some good kicks, punts, and kept them guys from getting good field position. But there was only that one stat, and this game was pretty much even, and I think it came down to that early fumble. That 6 points there, they scored off of that. But more importantly was the going 1 for 5 in the red zone. That was something that was crucial. You went down and came up empty on a few occasions. Could you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, whenever you get in the red zone, offense and defensive wise, we didn't do too good at them. I think we was 3 for 4 on defense, and like you just said, we was 1 for 5 on offense, and them are the points, and we could just do a couple things better within stopping or scoring. It's hard to win a football game when you only win it. You only getting 3 points every time you in the red zone. But that's our efforts. We come back, we work at it, we see what we did right, what we did wrong, and being able to pull the elephant out of the room, is always the biggest thing. And just sit there and just go over it. Just got off a phone call with Paroli, and it was like preseason 1 for us, and
Mm-hmm.
able to go out and try to get a little feel of what we can and, what we about and, what we need to work on, what we, see that's good, see that's bad, the whole 9 yards. So, coming in yesterday, I was in his office all day, just putting together what it's supposed to look like and, getting my questions together to be able to go to my coaches, to figure out what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we can
Mm-hmm.
capitalize
Thanks, Coach.
on the problem.
All right, we'll slide over to PFN. James Larson, go right ahead, please.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask about some of those defensive standouts of yours that we saw in action this week. Ron Stone is the guy that really stood out, had a couple of sacks there in the first half, kind of established your edge rushing room. Could you just kind of talk about him and those performances that you saw?
I mean, he's been doing it all since I got here, for the last, you know, 35 days, he's been coming out and giving us hell on the offensive side of the ball. And it was just glad that he went out and showcased, it on Sunday night. But, our defense is fiery. They came in and they be giving us every look that you could possibly get, going out and playing in this league and watching Fred go out and do what he do. It just shows that it's not a fluke, as much as you see him in our backfield in practice, to see him in somebody else's backfield, this afternoon or Friday night. So Sunday night was a great idea.
This was your first time getting to see Captain Munnerlin coach as a professional here at this level. What did you see out of him on Sunday night?
Well, for him being one of my, closest friends, and me knowing him personally for so many years, for him to go out and do what he done, he's a very, very detailed guy. Want to make sure that he put, the right product out on the field, and for him to come in and think that, he didn't have or didn't call the right game. And I believe that the stats and everything shows that he was in the right boat, and he's just putting it together. He's in his office day in and day out. I can't commend the team that he have with Coach Spain and Coach Terry and Coach Grant. And I watched them guys put it together. And, week 2, we should see more of what who they are and what we about.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we will slide on over to UFL Newsroom. Anthony Miller, go right ahead, please. UFL News Hub.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time. I wanted to ask you about Jalen McClendon's performance. What was your overall assessment of his play? And it seemed like he had some success with running the football. Is that something you guys are going to look to implement a little bit more and take advantage of his ability to run the football?
Well, when you always got a running style quarterback, is always good when the play ain't going too well for you, that he can just put it down and get you out of it, or they get to heating you up and he can, escape from it. And I think that's what happened, especially going into the second half. We was in, a situation where, you're behind the sticks, you're behind the scoreboard, and everybody pretty know that, you got to pass this thing around to get back into the fight. And I think his critical runs at times showcase, us moving the change, but showcasing that, he's some type of runner. But I think I know he's a sit in the pocket type guy. And, if it break down, I can just use my shoes. And I think that's what we've seen this weekend.
And for your preparation for this week, obviously it's a shorter week that you have than you had last week. How different is your preparation for getting ready for DC since you're playing on a Friday night?
Uh, just trying to get as much rest as I can for the kids. But not saying kids, the young men. Um, figuring out how to put installs in with rest. And not killing them, and coming off of a big time camp. So just trying to continue to get the legs back so we can continue to go on in the season. And I think with this turnaround right now, the only thing you can do is rest them.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Bro.
Coach, what kind of difference do you notice being able to show game film to teach players versus practice film that they've been watching the last few weeks?
It's recent. It's the most recent uh, thing that you could show them that's relatable to what's going on right now. You watch a lot of, like the scrimmages, or you might have watched, the system last year, but to be able to go out and, watch DC for a week and know that those guys is going to be on the field is a different advantage.
Gotcha. All right, we'll go back up top. James Larson, follow up, please. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just want to get your thoughts on, this home opener in Columbus. Obviously, there's a lot of hype, around the league, and the Aviators seem to have a strong fan base. Can you just kind of talk about the excitement you have right now to go out there and not just represent Ohio State, but represent the city of Columbus here?
I just want to rep the state of Ohio. I'm an Ohio guy, been an Ohio guy my whole life. I'm from Cleveland, so I'm repping Cleveland as well. And I put my mark down in Columbus. So, I have a great name down there. But to go in and take football back to a mega spot of football and being able to create the fan base and the community around it, it just shows how big our state is. It just shows how much we like football and the game of football. But just like any other team that you see, I think it's the person that's in head. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but just being a great guy that I have been, would give us a great edge to bring the right people into the seats and push out, what the UFL really want to do and what these players want to do, and have a great fan base behind them that we can last for many, many years.
Thanks, Coach.
Probably.
Any other follow-ups or Coach?
Yep, I got a follow up.
Sure.
Coach, Coach Ginn, what's your thoughts on passing the 50-yard line and there's no punting? What's your thoughts on that? Are you for, or are you against, or is it situational for you?
I think it's situational.
Mhm.
I think it kind of hurts your mind frame as you get like lured into the red zone, like
Mhm.
I had a 4th and 2, and then I had a 3rd and 2, and I had a 4th and 2, and we tried our hardest to get in there. And it just take that mindset out a little bit of just kick a field goal. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
I see that it can make you be aggressive at times. You know, it can make you settle at times. It's a great way to pin the defense and the offense in a certain type of way, being on offense, if that kind of makes sense to you. So it just it's tricky at tricky times of the game.
Yep. Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about your early initial thoughts on DC and what you've seen from them in your early evaluation of prepping for that game on Friday.
Oh man, I mean, have a championship mentality. The whole organization. They knew who they wanted through drafting. So, they kind of got a lot of the guys back from last year. The quarterback is amazing. They run the ball tremendously. And they're gonna cover you from head to toe. They ain't gonna give you no space. They're more of a cover one type team and try to blitz you up and try to heat you up. So we just gotta go out, and I think if we able to, shut some of that stuff down and just control them blitzes and beat man press and things like that, we'll be able to have a chance.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Everybody good, or any other follow-up for Coach? All right. We will touch base with. I'm sorry, Gene, do you have one?
Nope, that's it.
Nope.
That's
Okay.
it, Coach.
All right. All good. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks,
All right.
everybody. We'll check in with you later in the week.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. Bye.